whenever I hear people talk about, I want to be a producer, like they don't understand like the responsibility it is when you take someone's money.
Right.
Like the fiduciary responsibility you actually have, like this guy's trusted you.
You can sell, you're building relationships, you solve problems, you own it, and you own up to things,
Right,
you
dude.
see it through. What is probably your biggest lesson that you learned through that?
Just keep yourself centered and keep aligned. People will panic. People start doing stuff. Things are going to happen to you. If you start assigning your emotions or to those outcomes and taking yourself out of your center, then you're gonna start fucking up. Stop trying to make things happen all the time. You can just let things happen sometimes. So that's probably the biggest thing. So keep your structure, your center,
Right.
but let things flow.
So welcome to Viva La Visionary. I'm Coach Bob. Excited to have Brian Katz here. Brian is a actor, financing for films, visionary, entrepreneur. I could go on and on.
I'm not an actor. No, I don't do that.
I thought you were an actor.
Oh, man.
It says it on your profile.
Does it?
Yes.
I was in one movie. I had a cameo in one film. You're
It
right.
says
That's
actor.
True. It does, you know what?
Wear it with a badge, right?
It's okay. There's a stigma with that. I don't know if I like it. I'm sorry. Go on. Sing my praises. Continue to sing my praises.
You're a lot of things like a lot of us visionaries. So I want to hear a little bit of your story, and we've talked several times, but what got you here? What drives you? What are you doing if it's not just acting and other things like that?
That's a good question. It's a very broad question.
So what's your 2-minute story? How about that?
I don't know, it's not 2 minutes, man. I grew up here in this area. I was delinquent in high school. I almost failed out of it. I think I graduated high school with a 1.8 GPA.
Nice.
It was not good. My dad's an educator, so it was actually really bad. Maybe I was rebelling subconsciously. And people used to bring that to me all the time. I can't believe you, a teacher's son, would be this way. I'm like, whatever.
Right.
So, and you know, it's funny. So they tried to put me in alternative school. My brother actually went. And it's funny. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So I did like 2 gym classes back to back. I did all this stuff to graduate on time. And I remember the counselor who had told me that was at my graduation. I held my diploma up and I was like, see? And she goes, I'm so proud of you. I'm like, fuck. so she was, I was like, oh, she killed me with kindness. So I did that. I actually got into art school. So CCS had me for portfolio review. I just couldn't afford to go and I know the grades for it. So they said, come back and apply when you have a decent GPA from my community college. And my dad's like, man, he was a Detroit public school teacher. He was like, yeah, I'm not paying that. Right. I said, okay. Mom's a nurse, and he's just so I went to community college for a couple of years, ended up going to Western.
I went to Western.
My man. English and art degree, and then I stayed abroad in Italy for art school, which is awesome, Saatchi. So I relief printing, like zinc plates and illustration. And then I came back, graduated. I backpacked Asia for like 4 or 5 months. My mom's Filipino. So I went to go visit I was going to go to Europe, and my mom was like, well, you should visit your grandmother. I'll buy your ticket. I said, okay. And I've been there many times. Our family lived with us in the 80s for a couple of years during the Marcos regime. My grandpa was an industrialist in the Philippines, and he was an industrialist. He ran like the docks, like the logistics and warehousing, but built the business himself on his bike. He was hardcore, man. He was in World War II in the jungle. He was a hard man. So there's a story about him where he like bit somebody's ear in a road rage fight. So anyway. I digress. So, I went to Asia, came back. I did AmeriCorps for a year. So it's like Peace Corps in America. Right. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, there's different programs. Like Teach for America is part of it. It's the umbrella. It's the Corporation for National and Community Service. I think it was gutted by the recent administration, which is unfortunate because it actually does a lot of good work. And I can't speak. I don't know. I can't verify that. But Teach for America is part of it. The program I did was NCCC, which was actually a reinstatement of the Civilian Community Corps under Roosevelt. We put the WPA to work. Right. But anyway, we were in teams of 10 people, like 7 girls and 3 guys mostly, in a van. And you travel to different projects around the U.S. For I want to say like 2 to 3 months at a time. So I lived with the Pima Maricopa tribe in Arizona, building sustainable housing for them. It was awesome. We lived in the Indian reservation, right outside in Scottsdale. Okay. And then learn about them. I lived in the Black Rock Desert, teaching minor kids in Winnemucca, Nevada. Actually has a very high, at the time, this is 20 years ago, but they had the highest, I think it was Basque population outside of the Pyrenees, and they had come to the U.S. for sheep shearing. So a lot of the people there were actually Basque descended. So they actually have like very, very delicious, like oddly gourmet Basque restaurants. But they're like home cooking. It's fantastic. I worked at the LA Food Bank. I worked for the North Olympic Salmon Coalition in Bellingham, Washington. or Port Townsend actually, and then Portland, Oregon, doing invasive species removal, and then it was it was awesome. So it's funny though because we have 7 girls and 3 guys. So every town I go to, I know, oh, you live with 7 girls, and they're thinking it's like some kind of harem or something like that. It's like not like that at all. Like, they're all like picking at each other, fighting. Like, and I didn't have sisters growing up. I had some cousins. We stayed together sometimes, but they're dirty, man. I thought the guys were dirty, but the girls like they're dirtier. It's like I was like messy, and that's cool. I'm still friends with some of them. We still talk, and it was a really good experience. So I did that, and then I went to Chicago, became a learning center director, and I quit my job because the guy who became my partner eventually, we grew up together. He was in Detroit working for this company Anchor Bay. They used to put out DVDs and such before they were acquired by, I think, Lionsgate or Stars. Anyway, he was here locally. He got his movie casted, and we'd done some independent stuff growing up. I'd always storyboarded stuff for him and help him out. And I came home for a weekend to help him with something, and then I'm a sales guy, so I said, just give me a phone. Right. So I got it all done like a day. And they're like, hey, will you help us produce this? I'm like, sure. I don't know anything. So I quit my job in Chicago, and I came back here, and this is like 2005 summer, 2006. And it was awesome. It was like summer camp. So I'd never really been on a set. I was the only non-film school guy there. All these guys just graduated from the University of Michigan were there, and they're all working on, but it was everyone's first film. But I had like a folder, and I went door to door to businesses, and I trade like goods and services for like, I got like, I think it was Ruth's Chris. I gave us gift cards to give the address a night out. I got free trailers. I remember we got Chrysler to give us like 3 cars. What was it? Max Mara did all the costuming for free at Somerset. So we made deals. This is before the tax credit, so like it was still kind of like this like chic kind of interesting thing. The movie had like Judd Nelson from Breakfast Club. Really? He was very cool. Right. And then Vince DiSpano, who's not as cool. And then he was okay. And I probably shouldn't say it. Well, I don't care. I'm in the business now, but yeah, so it was cool. Didn't sell the movie. Had no clue what we were doing, but it's interesting because I was a learning center director. So like part of my job in Chicago before I quit was computerized learning. It was called SCORE, but it was originally bought by Kaplan Tutoring. But you know how it goes. You've been in sales. You know, you run the program for the kids. You do a test, and you're doing an assessment test, and then you identify the gaps in their education. Like, hey, he needs math help. So you talk to the parents, and you try to sell the parents in like a pilot program and get them. But it's funny because they had their sales program. You know, they have very specific scenarios of like, make sure you get both parents in. You know, here's how you do the assessment. Here's how if a kid wants to quit. Like, here's how you incentivize the kid. Well, I took that and I brought it to the set. So like every time, tempers run high. We're all young. The cinematographer who's still here locally, he's just kind of a dick. So he was always like mean to people. So like I had like basically what's called quit saving people. Like, hey, listen, man, we really appreciate your work. What can we do to be better? And I got people to stop quitting, but I use the same techniques to manage them that I use on the kids. Right. So yeah, it's cross industries, man. Right. And in fact, after the set, some guys, a lot of people told me, you're the only reason why I didn't quit. And I said, yeah. I remember the cinematographer came to me. He's like, how do you get people to like do stuff for you? I'm like, is that a real question? So he's like, well, I'm like, look, man, people only work for a couple different reasons, like to make money, right, to feel good about themselves, or learn something, right, and have fun, right. I go, we're not paying these guys anything, so take that out. Yeah, like so you got to make them feel appreciated. Like, and he's like, yeah, I don't know if I can do that. I'm like, well, then you have a real problem. He and I almost came to blows a couple times too. Yeah, I used to have a bad temper when I was younger. So anyway, it was good. We did that. I moved back to Chicago. I worked in the Steppenwolf Theater and nonprofit development for a little bit. I was looking for a job. I couldn't get one, and I got a job at Career Builder. So I worked there for like 4 or 5 years. And that was like it was an awesome job, great people, good culture. I really had. The job was kind of shitty, but it was a good like it was boiler room type sales. Which was awesome. So you learn a lot. You used to have dial reports issued every hour to see where you were at, and you had to manage your customers too. So it was like 125 calls a day we had to make. Wow. It was okay, but I learned a lot. So I learned how to like. They had a great sales program, great development program. Like it was a good company. They throw great parties, man. Like, so we were like 20 something. Like yeah. So I was there for like 4 or 5 years. And then my girlfriend and I, we kind of broke up. And then I was like, I'm gonna go to California. So I basically manufactured my own layoff. Spent the summer in Chicago, and then I drove out to LA for 2 years. And I was trying to I was bumming around, like working at being a production assistant, different sets. I worked on a couple music videos. I worked for David Mamet, who I was a big fan of. That was awesome. He was great. My buddy was his assistant, so he got me a job doing that. He's very cool. And I remember I show up. Do you know David Mamet? I know the name. He redid like Glengarry Glen Ross. Yeah, that's the most famous. Yeah, Steak Knives. Yeah, there you go. Right? Yeah, he's a playwright, and I was a playwright in college. So he said, but anyway, he shows up to say, he's like, oh God, it's David Mamet. I wrote papers about this guy in college. He's like a hero of mine. I'm like, oh, he's like, hey, how you guys doing? I'm David. Like, shaking everyone's hand. I was like, hey, how you doing? He's like, hey, you guys do a good job. He's like, you want some coffee? I'm going across the street. I'm like, shouldn't I be doing that for you? And he goes, no, you're working. I ain't doing nothing. And he walks away. And I'm like, this guy's like, he's just David Mamet.
Right.
And I go to my buddy. I'm like, dude, David Mamet's buying me coffee. This is awesome. He goes, well, yeah. Well, what would you do? He's like, he's from the Midwest, like we are.
Right.
What would you do?
So I'm like, he's a normal dude.
Normal dude. He's like, so, I mean, yeah, you're right, dude. So he went, it was good. So that was a good experience. And then, but like, I didn't know what to do while I was there. Because like, I was like, I'm gonna be a producer. Like, I don't know what that means. And I think about the industry out in LA. And at least with the industry people I encounter, I won't say this as a blanket thing, but like I didn't work at the institution. Like I didn't work like for a studio or anything, so I can't comment on that. But like everyone's very guarded. They have a very scarce mindset.
Right.
Like they have a lead they're working or an angle they're working, like, but they can't talk to you about it because like they don't want to jeopardize it, and it's just like it's nonsense. Huh. So it's part of that. I felt and I didn't know what to do with myself, and I was running out of money. It was burning. It was a great 2-year summer, right? But I was burning through it. And then my mom kept sending me articles from Detroit, like, hey, like, this is like 2011, 2010. And like, because Detroit at the time, if you remember this, like 15 years ago, was one of the few places in the United States that if you opened up a business or did anything, the New York Times would report on it.
Right.
So it's like, okay, here you go. Like, I was like, you should come home. And like, but me, my mindset, I'm like, if I go home, I'm a loser. Right. So it's like, oh, God, I failed, it's too much. But I was lost, completely lost, man. I didn't know what to do. I was like reading. I was like, should I start a business? Should I not? Like, and I was trying to keep myself, I got into things that were not probably the best uses of my time. Anyway, I ran out of money. I met my wife at a party in Chicago. She's from here, but she used to live in LA and San Diego. And I tried to get her to move to LA. She's like, you have a job? And I said, oh, I had 3 jobs that all fell through. So I got a job at the food bank. That fell through. I got a job with an agency. I thought I would be like an agent. Like, that fell through. I got another job. I think it was a tech sales or something. That fell through too. Like, everything was just pushing me back here.
Right.
So I moved back here and I got a job on Craigslist. I moved into her apartment and I got a job on Craigslist selling T1 internet door to door.
Right.
Like okay. I had to restart I was broke. I had to restart my entire career. So I did that. It was like 50 doors a day. I made my quota and they still laid me off. Okay. I mean, but it's funny because I've been through this before. I survived a couple of layoffs at Cribbo. So it's funny is like seeing these young kids going, oh my God, who's gonna handle my customers tomorrow? I'm like, who cares, dude? Like, scrape your stuff. Let's go. So then I got into tech sales, technology, telecom, and then I went on my own. I had a false start with a partner. It did not end well. He was kind of a dishonest imbecile. It's okay. I don't name call people, but that's true. Like he was kind of a phony. Like I was looking for mentorship, and I had this business. He had a tech business, so we started ours on the side. And it turned out his wife was like the majority owner of his company. It's his house, her house she lived in. The biggest customer was her family's customer. You know what I'm saying? Like this, right. It wasn't like it was a fugazi, man. It wasn't real. So anyway, finally went in house to a couple of tech companies. I built some sales channels for some for some companies. I was put on contract with a couple of companies. Built that up. Built my consultancy up. So I started selling like IT, technology, that kind of thing. And then I started flipping IT companies. So some of my sales agents, when I was building the sales channel for, were trying to sell their companies, and the brokers they were using were getting it done. I'm like, well, I know people, just give it to me.
Right.
So I ended up flipping like 3 or 4 of those. They're small, EBITDA like $3 million or less. But like, you learn a lot about how it works. It's funny because investment bankers I talked to, like, you really shouldn't be doing this without one of us. I'm like, why?
Right. And I'm doing it.
I'm doing it. Like, okay. I'm sorry. I told him, like, maybe you're right. Like, what are you gonna do differently? Well, we're gonna do the assessment and blah. I'm like, okay, like, all right. Isn't it an important thing to bring a buyer in? Like, so anyway, did that, and then in 2018 we formed our current company, and then I had a couple investors who had liquidity events, colleagues and stuff, and they wanted about film financing. Like, okay, so we announced to the market, and it's funny when you go to the film market, if you tell people you're a financier, everyone takes a meeting with you.
Oh, sure.
Every person takes a meeting with you. And it's interesting too. So one thing that actually did change for me is 2016. I started taking a Sandler. So 2 things happened. I actually got back into martial arts, and I got into Sandler. I did that for like 3 or 4 years. And it's weird because both those things, I don't know if you're familiar with the Sandler sales system.
Yes. I've never done it, but I'm pretty familiar with it.
Can I talk about that?
Yeah.
So here, I've had like probably 10 sales trainings. So I've had like Gittimer, Xerox. Caribbean had one based on Xerox because the former VP, COO was from Xerox. One IBM-based sales training. So I had a derivative of that. Challenger sales, whatever. Sandler, and then I got the Sandler. Sandler is the most complete sales system I've ever encountered because it takes a conversation from beginning to end. And if you think about Challenger sales, for example, here are the 4 challenge questions. Like, okay, then what?
Right.
Now what? Like, okay. I forget there was another one that was like a management one, but like that one is actually, it's a complete system, which is good. And the martial art I was doing was Southeast Asian martial arts, which is kind of the same philosophy, which is the universal mechanics we talked about the other day, where like, for example, if someone asks you a question, then you reverse it back out of them. You basically put the pressure back on the opponent or the engagement to uncover what the alignment, if there's alignment or not.
Right.
So if you're doing it correctly, like it's a deeper conversation, but if you're doing the system correctly, then you're just uncovering if alignment exists, and then acting on the alignment. The problem is that salespeople, they see a system, they want to try to manufacture some kind of consent. Right. Or use it as a persuasive framework, which I get it, you're a salesperson, but then you can uncover misalignment and miscommunication. Selling
isn't really always alignment. Right. So that's a whole nother topic.
It's a whole other topic. I love sales. I'm a huge sales nerd. So I love sales. So anyway, 2018 we formed, the way film finance, can I talk about this?
Yeah.
So films are actually financed like real estate developments. People think of them like, everyone's got a story. It's mostly equity. Like, give me the money, we'll go make the movie, and then when the film sells, we'll all get paid.
Right.
It doesn't work out that way. So a lot of films are actually structured differently. They're structured like real estate development deals. So like you have like equity, but also debt and tax credits. The debt is actually so like a company can come in and actually evaluate your movie based on the actors, the genre, and then when it goes to market. So like that's why you see so many horror and action films because the demand's high for them right now. But you can pre-sell those. So it's a licensing business. So if, for example, have you tried to watch Netflix in Canada, for example?
No.
Have you ever traveled and tried to watch Netflix or anything similar?
Not really.
It's okay. Never mind. So if you do it there, the catalog's totally different because the licensing rights change from territory to territory.
Okay.
So those buyers bid those rights in advance. Anyway, so then there's the debt components they'll try and pre-sale, and then you can actually get a loan against those, like a PO or AR loan. And most banks, actually all banks actually have a film lending arm. They just don't do anything less than $10 million. So there's actually mid-tier lenders that'll do it for private equity through either underwritten by private equity or Canadian bank. And then there's also the tax component. So like Michigan used to have a transferable tax credit, right?
Yeah.
So which
it
I think
seemed like it was starting to roll, but
I think it's I think it's funny. I talked to who was it? One of the Republican senators. The Kansas League was a Grant Home initiative, which look, I get you don't agree with it, and 42% is like a lot. Right? That's a lot. Like but here's the thing. I've been part of or shot movies in like Arkansas, Alabama, Texas, Missouri. I've done twice. Those are red states.
Right.
It's unfortunate that Michigan politicizes something that should be a simple jobs bill. It really sucks because Missouri, for example, we shot a movie there. I think we spent, like last time was 2024 summer. How much we spent on that? I think it was like $1.3 million in qualified spend. So the state audits you, right? So I think we netted about, just for these round numbers, we netted about $400,000. Okay. So to cash flow our movie, we find either an entity, either a person or an institution or a company that wants to buy that state tax credit from us for like 80 cents on the dollar.
Right.
So I think we netted like 320, let's say, or 330. Call it 320s. And so we net 320 for cash flow. They get the full 400,000 at a discount to put on their taxes and unwrite it off. And the state got $1.3 million spent inside it. It's a no-brainer. I don't understand. I don't understand. So, okay, but that's cool. Like, I'm not, and somebody asked me, don't you care it's not here? I'm like, I mean, it'd be nice. My wife would be nice to go home at the end of the day, but I don't mind traveling. It's okay with it. I mean, no skin off my back. So, so anyway, that's the instant. And there's also federal tax programs we do where, like, let's say somebody's got, it's probably very boring, but I find it very interesting. So, like, let's say you have $1 million taxable income, okay, and you owe $400,000 to the government. So instead of paying the $400,000 to the government, you can also buy the copyright on a movie for $200,000 down, which is half your tax liability, and $800,000 of debt.
Right. And
the debt's in the form of a recourse note, right? But it gets paid down by money you're making on the film. But the film has to appraise, and it's like something. I had one investor. I had a movie that was a disaster. But I closed a big investor for like $700,000. Close friend of mine. He trusted me. He did some other movies with me before, and they worked out really well. We did this movie. It was a gangster movie, and some high-profile actors in it. We shot in New Mexico. And I was not the main producer. In fact, I posted to hire some of these other people, but the director was like a friend. I'm like, okay, it's fine. And he's like, oh, it'll be under me. I'm like, all right, it's fine. So we had a senior lender and a tax credit from New Mexico and a domestic buyer for like $2 million. So like there's someone lending against the domestic buyer. So the finance plan should have worked. So my guy came in against foreign sales for like $1 million. I think it's like 1.1 against his 700. Go to New Mexico. Disaster. Like, so the thing fell apart and I was freaking out. After I tried to fix it the whole time, right? So like they needed senior lender, so they needed $150,000 to close the gap to be able to finance. Like, okay. And this lender though had a history of only doing tax credits. They'd never done like the against the paper before. Even though the funny thing is the company who issued the debt paper is their sister company. So it should be a no-brainer, right? Yeah. No, think again. Anyway, so I get the investor to put in our 150 in, so he's in for 850. Just close the gap. Let's get it done. Shoot the film, get it in the can. We're good. Get the set. Okay. Senior lender gets COVID, just shut down. This is like 4 years ago. Then the senior lender pulls out, said, no, we're not, this is still not good. And even though I had them confirm over the phone, and we talked about this before we did anything. And then the bridge lender, who I didn't really want, only financed half of what she was a third of what she was supposed to. So then we couldn't get the production in a week. So it was just, the whole thing fell apart. Yeah. And I had to fire the producers and then to try and take over. My buddy just goes to me, hey, listen, you need to fix this. I'm like, you're right. And I was freaking out. But I didn't take a fee. I told him, I won't take a fee until this is done because I want to make sure you're taken care of. So that kind of saved me in my mind because it's like, okay, but it was a nightmare, man. But I was freaking out, and this is a big sum for me. Like I'd never done anything that big. I was like, somebody who trusted me, and that's a big chunk of change.
Right. Your name's on the line, right?
On the line. He's a accredited investor, but still, Anyway, so it took me like 2 years calling. I did every permutation of the finance plan. The bridge lender had takeover rights, which I don't think you know what that meant. I'm like, okay, take it over. Finish the film. I want you to finish it. I'm like, you want to take it over to tell me to get it done, but you're going to argue with me every time I want to get it done.
Right.
So it was okay. Anyway, a lot of roadblocks. I found a couple of investors. Thing fell apart. Then I found this federal tax program. I knew about it because I did another film, but the company that I did it with, I didn't like how they operated. But I got tied to this one filmmaker in Chicago who's also a securities attorney. We're very close friends now, and he restructured the whole thing and he ended up getting like $1.65 million in tax savings for like carry forward 7 years. And it's all like it's a tax opinion letter from K&L Gates, the 14th largest firm in the world. It's like it's awesome. So I was like, okay, that's pretty good. So I felt it was good. I had a problem solved. One guy I talked to, my buddy, his wife is a doctor, and he was telling me, he's like, doctor's medical school friend's husband, her best friend in medical school, is like, yeah, he got me in this real estate deal for like $250, whatever it was. He's like, I can't even get this guy on the phone. He's like, I know he screwed up. I'm like, are you taking the guy's calls? I'm like, yeah, I actually offered he can punch me in the face. I told him he can punch me in the face if you want to. And he's like, that's not a joke. I was like, I fucked up. You can. He's like, I have to fix it. He's like, are you taking his calls? Yeah. You're trying to fix it? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's what you can do, man. And that's the thing. That's also, on a side note, just to talk about this, whenever I hear people talk about, I want to be a producer, like they don't understand like the responsibility it is when you take someone's money. Right. Like the fiduciary responsibility you actually have, like, I know guys that don't care. Like I've met guys who are operators who are just like, guys will never work with the gangs. They're just like, hey, whatever. I'm like, no, not whatever, man. Like this guy's trusted you. You need to take care of it. So
tough to get repeat business when you do that.
100%, man. But you just gotta be. I say this like, just don't be a dick. Right. Be true. And you know what? It's a hard conversation to have. But if you fuck up, you fuck up. You gotta say something about it. Like and
own it.
Oh, dude, you're gonna fail, man. Believe me, that sucked. Like that was like did not feel good. Right. So I was freaking. I went to the gym and I was like listening to like "Win in the End" from Teen Wolf like over and over again, like trying to get motivated. Anyway, so now my partner and I split up. That's been remedied, and I got 2 films in post production now. I've done about 14 or 20 films I've helped to finance, and 4 I've actually produced. We had a distribution company we relaunched, a defunct label that Lionsgate said no, it's our label, so we had to get a legal dispute with them, but it was settled pretty quick. And my partner wanted to go do that instead. I said okay. I'm gonna just do production and just do that. I like what I'm doing now. It's good. Right. So I'm just focused on this, and I like it. It's good. Sorry, it's a long story.
No, I appreciate that. So the theme that I hear through that. So obviously you're a high energy visionary.
So you say.
You can sell. You're building relationships. You solve problems. You own it, and you own up to things. You see it through. And those are all amazing traits of a visionary, in my opinion.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So if from all of that, what is probably your biggest lesson that you learned through that for yourself and or for the audience here?
Biggest lesson?
Yeah.
Keep your structure. And this is something so I do a lot of internal martial arts, like Chinese-based ones. That's the best way I can express it. Like, just keep yourself centered, and keep aligned. Right. Because then, if people will panic, people start doing stuff, things are going to happen to you. If you start assigning your emotions or to those outcomes and taking yourself out of your center, then you're gonna start fucking.
So that's huge. So, but to know who I am and to stay centered, don't screw people over. Right. But that's not typical.
Well, because people screw them over because they don't care. They're afraid, or they're just I don't know. Yeah, I just try to keep myself like if something comes, okay, this is happening now. Like, I mean, it happens with anything. People have like these waves of like things that happen maybe every day. It could be whatever. I mean, what was innocuous to you and I may be like a mudslide hitting somebody else, right? So like, what's that old saying? It's like, be kind, for everyone's going through their own great struggle,
right?
So you don't know the impact things are having on other people. So that's why you have to like just be cool,
right? Don't take things personally.
Don't take things personally.
Right.
Keep your structure, and then part of keeping your structure is not taking things personally, not having tension. Like, don't be tense. Like, you have to the minute you start tensing up, it's like that's like your fear. Like,
right?
I always think it's funny when people like fight. Like, there was like, yeah, but all you're doing is like,
right?
Yeah, you gotta stay relaxed, man. Like, so.
Right. Be present, be in the moment.
Yeah.
And I find a lot of visionaries are often in fear. I don't want to lose this employee. I don't want to lose this client. I hope we don't screw up this project. And then they're operating at a lower vibration. Yeah. And so often we need things outside of just work. So you do martial arts. What else do you do to stay centered and stay at peace, stay present?
Sit.
Sure.
Honestly, stillness. I try to just sit. I fail at a lot. I try.
Awareness is the first key, I hear.
It's tough. There's like a Taoist meditation where you just kind of stand. I don't know the Chinese name, Zhang or whatever. It's part of Tai Chi. We just stand.
Right.
But their meditation is not like sitting in, birds and eyes closed. It's like you stand and you're sinking your energy. And like but it keeps you present.
Right.
So also just sitting. But the martial arts thing, I still draw sometimes. I'll usually draw if when I'm on phone calls, which I thought was a weird trade. But then I think 12 years ago I was at a job and my buddy's like, "Oh, world leaders do that." I'm like, "They do?" And it's like a book of doodles from like Clinton and like I forget who else is on in the book, but like, I was like, "Oh, okay." So like, I do drawings while I'm on the phone. It keeps my brain working.
Right.
I'll do what I'm talking to my wife, and she thinks I'm dodging the conversation. I'm like, no, it's just keep my brain working.
It helps me to concentrate.
But actually, she's like, I'm more focused than talking to her. So I'm keep my brain occupied with something else. So I can actually listen to what she's saying. And it's a completely different autonomic function. So it's, so that's it. And I read, I guess.
So know thyself. So you know your high energy. You know that you need to take care of yourself.
I do.
Not a lot of people do.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Not just like, I mean, but by the way, I'm not always doing a good job of taking care of myself. I'm aware of it. But like,
sure. No, and again, I don't have you here because you've mastered it. I have you here because you're learning it and you're open and you're honest and you're vulnerable. So I've appreciated our conversations, and I see a lot in myself in you. And again, as a lot of us visionaries, we're no better than anyone else, but we're high energy. We problem solve. We want to look good. We want to have impact on people. But sometimes we do it at our own self-detriment. Oh, yeah. That I'm going to do anything to please you and make it work, but then I'm not working out. I'm not eating right. I'm not spending time with my wife or my kids. So that's very typical.
Oh, really? I don't know. Okay, I guess that's true. I don't speaking for myself.
Yeah, that's all we can do.
I've been rejected so many times when I was younger. I thought this is true. I never got the jobs I wanted. Like I never got to work where I wanted to work. Like I never had mentors. I always tried to find mentors. So it's like I never so it's funny. My ex partner's a people pleaser. My own admission. I don't have the component. Plus my mom's like so it's kind of funny. My dad's Jewish. So like all the Jewish moms try to I see watching like browsers try to guilt their kids, and I'm like, that didn't work on me either. Right. And my mom's not Catholic, so it doesn't work on me.
Right.
So my mom's the worst negotiator. If you don't do this, I'm going to do this. I'm like, no, you won't. You're fine. She just gave. So it's like, anyways, you're right. It's like a dog chasing cars constantly. Right. Or was it the mice in your skull are chasing their cheese?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, for the most part.
So you mentioned sales and that you love sales.
I love sales.
I'm good at sales, but had jobs where I didn't believe in the company or what I was selling. And that was very hard.
Well, yeah.
And that's still in the chatter in my head is, wait, I don't know if I want to sell you but it's like, but I know I'm going to deliver value. But the conversation in my head is often, because I've sold stuff and my bosses are like, that's never going to work. I'm like, I put my reputation on the line.
What was the product you didn't want to sell?
So this was, it was international courier, international mail. I mean, and then it provided a service, but it didn't get me that excited. And not many people said, thank you for doing that. I only heard when things didn't work. and it was often out of our control.
Yeah.
And then when I first was introduced to you and I researched you a little bit, you're a networker, you're a connector. So what's the difference between selling, networking, and connecting?
Selling, networking, connecting.
If there's any difference.
I don't know. Let me think about that. Well, networking is, okay, let me think about this for a second. If I was to categorize it, and I'm not saying this is definitive or
we're having a conversation, right?
So, to me, this is what sales is. So sales is it's trying to uncover alignment.
Right.
So actually, I'll give you a story that actually I thought about this the other day. So I had a attorney out of Houston that I had this movie that was part of that he wanted to be part of. He's like, hey, I got a guy for this. Okay, that's fine. He had this private equity. I think it's a family office of like a mom and a son. But he was like 50. So it's a little strange. We're on I'm not judging. I'm saying he was strange. I'm not saying that was strange.
Right.
So the mom was actually very nice.
Save, right?
The mom was actually very assertive. She was actually a better business person. So I'm talking to him directly on this call, and I say other stuff like the upfront contract, like which is your outcome, my outcome, like just saying the rules. Like, okay, and we're talking about it, and the whole time he's like telling me, oh, I know Robert De Niro. I did this. He's like trying to peacock a little bit, which is fine. It happens in this industry. I said, okay, that's cool, man. Like, I'm like talking about the deal. He's like, well, tell me more about the project. I'm like, tell me about the project. And then you always interject with some kind of like story to make himself look better. And then eventually I was like, he's like, well, I don't know if we're going to do this. I said, listen, man, it's all good. You may decide this isn't for you, and that's cool. Like, there'll be other projects. We can find something else to work on. If I don't feel it's a good fit based on our conversation, like, I'll let you know if there's something better I can bring in along the way. He's like, what are you saying? I'm like, I'm just saying it's okay. We can just take the pressure out. We don't have to do this if you don't want to do it. He says, I know that trick. I know what you're doing. I know you're reversing it. He was going, I don't want to be part of this conversation anymore. Right. He stopped the whole thing. And he threw a tantrum, and I said, okay. And the lawyer attorney was like, man, what was that all about? It's kind of heated exchange. I'm like, I didn't get heated. He's like, I know, but he got really upset. I'm like, yeah. I go, here's what happened. Let me give you the play-by-play. He probably couldn't invest or didn't want to, right, or didn't want to look bad in front of you. So he waited for me to do something to point to the reason why he's going to run away.
Right.
So now it's my fault, not his. But what I did was I just maintained my structure, and he uncovered the misalignment for me.
Right.
I let it go.
And if there's not alignment, you don't want the deal either.
I don't want it either.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So in terms of that system, that's why it's good. If it's done correctly and you have the right mindset, if it's done ethically and correctly,
right,
I've seen it done not those ways, you're just uncovering alignment. Because I have no emotional tie to the outcome. If it makes sense to work together, and if it does, we'll figure out how.
So did you ever have pressure, and I'm relating to my history, sure, that I felt like even if there wasn't alignment, I had to make the sale to meet my numbers.
Of course, man. Yeah.
No, but so that's where
earlier
literally.
In the career.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if it's not even selling, and this is where again I think it's like discovering the need, agreeing on the need, seeing if there's a fit, and sometimes even if there's a fit, the style might not be there, the timing might not be there, and I'm still learning that it's like, hey, if you're not ready, I don't want your money.
Yeah.
But when I was first being taught how to do it, I felt like it was Glengarry Glen Ross, Tin Man. Here's the pen.
Well, that's also because your manager is probably trying to impose their agenda on you.
Oh, totally.
That's also, and then that's the other thing too. Is like, well, you got to get this because he's gonna get chewed out, or right, like something else is gonna happen, or, pardon me. Yeah, 100%, man. Oh, yeah, dude. Well, and then what's a classic sales system? It's like, well, overcome the objection. Well, why don't you want to buy it? Well, let me just re-throw these reasons at you why you should. It's right, like, but you can't convince anybody of anything. That's not how it works. So like, you have to pull out. You have to, and then actually, the Sandler thing. And I'm not trying to make this all about Sandler. It had an impact on me, but like, it's about emotional buying. So you're actually trying to identify the emotions. I think Robert Herjavec said this on another interview I recently. He's like, if you can sell somebody emotionally, then he's right. If you can tap into the emotional reason why someone's doing something, then you'll get the sale. Actually, what do I told this to Fighter there. He liked it. I said I have a new saying. I go, don't make an equation into a story problem unless you're selling something.
Unless what?
unless you're selling something.
Right.
Yeah. That's right. Because the story problem is about emotions, like identifying. But most business problems are equations. Like.
So it's interesting because when I think of selling, it is the art and the event of getting you to do something. That's how I was taught.
Yeah. And
so, but I don't even know
if that's what you're
saying.
That was
right.
Yeah.
But to uncover, how do you describe it? Uncover alignment, right? Mm-hmm. And I love that, right? So where are you? And I feel like sometimes the prospect doesn't even know where they are. Yeah. So that's asking the question, getting the emotion, trying to find out what the issue is, and then do I have a solution or not? And that's interesting. So how does that differ? How would you describe connecting and networking?
I don't know. Networking is just, I would say it's more, how do I say this? Networking, if you're asking me to define it, I would say the intentional engagement of other people for an intended outcome. If you go to like a business meeting or a business networking event or something, you're going there to meet people to hopefully to discover there's a reason to talk, have a conversation, right? And then connecting is connecting. Like once you meet those people, like, are you able to connect in some way? And it's not just like, can I sell them a product? or anything else. It's like, hey, listen, and it's were you able to, it's interesting actually. So I was trying to illustrate this a different way, in a selfish way. So I used to run these networking groups for a while too. But what was it? But two things I'll tell you. The first thing is, some of the people that weren't a good fit, and I used to call it chicken hawking. Everybody thinks it's hilarious. I'm like, quit chicken. Well, I've met like 5 guys in the group, and I'm not seeing any results. I'm like, it's because you keep chicken hawking.
Right.
So what do you mean? I'm like, how many times have you asked them what you can do for them? How many times have you made it about them and what they're feeling right now, instead of just trying to peddle your services every time you have a conversation with somebody? That's the wrong mindset.
Yep. So
that's the first thing. The other thing was about connecting. So my buddy pointed this out to me. I don't watch sports. I'm not a sports guy, not by any means, shape, or form. Like, I can't even fake it. I go into games at school, and I played football I think for a couple of years when I was younger. I didn't know the rules. So like, but I'm a big guy. It's like, we're 1st and 10. I'm like, I don't know what that means. So didn't play sports. I mean, I did play. I don't follow it. Yep. When Jack Morris left, I gave up. I'm like, why is he leaving the team? We got a better deal. I'm like, okay, I'm out. I'm gonna deal with this. So it was like 4 or 5. But yeah, I mean, Tigers when I was younger. Lou Whitaker, and Jack Morris. Who's else on that? Kurt Gibson,
Alan Trammell,
Alan Trammell, dude. Anyway, so my dad's really into baseball. But my buddy told me, he's like, I'm amazed. It was a nice compliment. He's like, I'm amazed how well you connect with like guys, and you don't watch any sports, man. I'm like, I guess I just connect with anybody, man. Like, and one of the things is, I told this to somebody else. I had to figure this out. I think Fighter and I were having a conversation. I said, for some reason, some guys who are sales guys or whatever, like business people, whatever, they have certain gifts. Like some people are really good closers.
Right. Some
people are really good question askers. Some people are really good at pitching, whatever it is. I'm good at making people feel comfortable.
Right.
Which is odd because if you look at me, I look like a monster. so like, I'm joking.
Right.
My wife tells me I'm very handsome. So, but anyway, like the opposite's also, I didn't realize this. So the opposite's also true. Like I also can, if I need to, or I have inadvertently, I can also make people feel very uncomfortable. And I don't realize like, it's kind of a weird, like delicate, like management of that power, I guess.
Right.
I mean, everyone can do this to some degree. I'm just saying like, but for some reason, people feel comfortable with me.
Yeah.
Not everybody. I mean, some people don't like me, but in general, like.
Well, we were talking about networking. So when I used to go to, and again, this is probably a long time ago, I would go to network. It was how many cards can I get? How many deals can I get? And I've learned, I mean, not even that long ago, that it's like, how can I help you?
Yeah.
And how can I match you at your emotional level? And that's a whole different gig. But some of the chatter in my head is still, I got to sell. It's like, what is that? And one of the things that Gino Wickman, who created EOS, created is, here's a business model, what a good company, well-run company looks like. And people would be like, oh, that would be cool. Ooh, we're not there. Okay, what about this? And then here's our process. And are you interested or not? And that taught me a lot.
Yeah.
Because, even then, I'm like, oh, if I'm going against Feidner on this, I'm like, I'm going to outsell him. And it's like, what is that?
That'd be my attitude, actually.
Right. Well, and that's the competitiveness in me, and I want to make money and whatnot. But what someone said is, if you have to drag them in to close them, you have to drag them around. So even if you got the business,
what's it?
If you have to drag them in, you have to drag them around.
I like that a lot. That's a good. I'm gonna borrow that one. That's good.
So EOS taught me a lot on. I mean, I was a implementer, but you still had to sell your own stuff. I mean, you would get leads and whatnot, but it was about sharing and presenting and seeing if there's a fit.
So EOS, and this is, I want to ask you about this.
Yeah.
So I thought is the one thing. The EOS doesn't really have a sales process. They kind of have this motto like, we're here to help, and then they market.
Yep.
There's no call to action in terms of like asking for the business.
So I think
that I've seen. So maybe
the biz dev process, how I've understood it, and I think it's brilliant because it's the opposite of how I was trained, is there's a little bit about me, a little bit about EOS, a little bit about you, and we would ask questions, your revenue, number of people, and then we asked 4 leading questions. How would you rate your meetings 1 to 10? Our meetings suck. Okay, great. How are things going according to the plan? What plan? How are you on accountability? And people, well, we get a lot of shit done, but we don't really know what's the most important thing. And now if someone answered all those really positively, then they probably don't need me or EOS.
Or they're lying.
Right, yeah, exactly. And then the last question is, what does the organizational structure look like? And it's usually, everyone reports to me. And then we would go through and show the model of what a great company looks like. So do you have a plan, the VTO? Do you have an accountability chart? Who does what? Who's responsible? Data is not just finance. What data do you have that's also predictive? How do you solve issues? Do you know when to solve issues? Do you have your processes documented and then that we're following them? And then last was a meeting structure. And so it's very simple. And people would be like, oh, I wish we were there. I wish we were there. Cool. And then the process was, this is a 90-minute meeting. So hopefully you're going to learn something. I'm going to give you the book Traction. And if we never talk again, that's fine. And then the process, if you were interested, you'd do a focus day, then vision building day 1, vision building day 2. And we would say after focus day, commit. I mean, you can always stop. But but we just wanted people to do that. And then basically it takes 2 years for you to be running on EOS. And so you would be at an 8, a 9 on all these different 6 key components. And it was amazing because the call to action was, okay, are you interested? What are the next steps? And often people would say, well, let us get back to you. And I'm like, okay, we're all about open and honest. Let's talk about it. And if you're not interested, that's fine. And then someone would say, well, I think we should do it. And someone else like, well, that's a lot of money. And then it's like this. And then it's like, if you aren't going to decide today, who's going to call who when? So it was not, it's like, oh, I'll call you in a week or two. It'd be like, you know what, call me on Thursday. But it was over 50% of the people said yes in that meeting.
You actually said something else that's interesting, though, last time when we met. I did not know the majority of implementers were also integrators.
I don't have data on that. No. I think most were, anyways.
Oh, I think that's 100% true. Like,
yeah.
Sorry. Most also 100% of all statistics are false. So,
right.
But like the ones that I know are definitely integrators. They're all COOs. I mean, I think Dave was an integrator.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because they're all. So
because it is process and they can understand it, and that's why when I decided to become one, I was like, my wife said, let's do it because you don't have to create anything for a while. Because my mind is always going. And our kids were younger and she's like,
it's a good sales pitch.
Yeah. And it was great. And then Gino was like, dude, if you learn it, you're going to love it and you're going to be great at it. And I liked it, but it was also.
Are you out now?
Oh yeah. I haven't done it in the last almost 3 years now. Because again, I love EOS, but I like it once you have the team in place and there is a visionary who is in that seat. And then I love working with the visionary and the team to say, all right, how do we scale this bad boy? EOS is about, let's get our ducks in a row. Let's make sure that we have a foundation, if that makes sense.
It does. You know what's interesting? When we met and you picked up on it, I think Corey was there. I can't remember. But he's a visionary for his company.
Yep.
Somebody had presented a problem. They're all integrators in that meeting.
Right.
One of the guys presented a problem about, I forget what it was. Oh, it was the boss that liked this one particular employee who didn't show up on time but did great work. And how do I manage him? How do I go to the boss? And it was interesting because everyone's, not yours or mine, so that was kind of interesting. Everyone's like, they go back to the system.
Right.
Well, is he doing the right seat, right? But the thing is that's not how he's going to think about it. He's the visionary. He's going to be like, he didn't care.
Right.
So it's like they couldn't put themselves in his shoes. Which is interesting because I remember having the conversation. Like, well, why don't you just do this instead? He's like, why would I do that? Because he's the boss. You have to use the structure to your advantage. I was like, I remember. I think I told him like, I'm not saying this is the answer, but I was like, why don't you just tell? If that's what time, why don't you just go to the boss and say, hey, I want to implement a bonus structure. People will show up on time to work.
Right.
Oh yeah, because now you're doing it indirectly. But they don't think that. It's very much back to the system. And I'm not saying everyone's guilty of this, but it was very, very telling to watch how people thought about the problem.
Right. Well, it's interesting because, and this is not just a pitch for EOS, but as a visionary, I was out of control and reacting and doing here and in not always in abundance because I still had to pay the bills and everything. And with EOS, there was enough structure and a process, especially for, and even common vocabulary. So the phrase "let go of the vine" was a key thing for me and my team because it was a kind way for people to say, stop it, you suck at this, let me do it. And I'd be like, oh, okay, fine. But then what happens is a lot of visionaries are like, I used to do everything. Now I don't have to do that much. What do I do now? And that's when I come in to say, okay, well, who are you and what do you love and what you're great at?
Your brain was probably racing, dude.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I left the business for a couple months and came back and solved a couple relationship issues and whatnot. And I came back and I said, I'm back and I'm ready to go. And they said, well, that's great. We don't want you doing all the stuff you're doing before. We're actually doing it more effectively. And I'm like, well, what do I do now?
Just think.
Right. Well, and build relationships. Yeah. And then back to the theme of this whole thing, sell, network, and connect. Yeah. And so that's what's been really amazing. And so why do you think you're on this planet? And what's the legacy you're either leaving or hoping to leave? I just like to have little easy questions.
I'm on this planet to be the best version of myself I can be.
Love it.
That's it.
All right.
And what's my legacy? So I'm a relatively new. I'm 45 and I have a 2.5-year-old daughter.
Congratulations.
My first kid. Thank you.
All right.
She's the boss, man. She runs the house. And she's. I've been told she's very smart. I don't want to be one of those parents who are like, oh, she's so smart, whatever. But I've been told by a lot of people that she's like more advanced, I guess. But I'm happy that she has her own personality,
Right.
and she can assert her advocacy. So that I'm very grateful for that. That's probably my legacy. Is just to make sure she has the tools. I only have 2 goals for her, and to sound very crass, is to love her unconditionally, love the shit out of her, and make her into a badass bitch. that's it.
Nice.
And I mean, now crudeness aside,
Yeah.
Make sure she's capable, she's kind, she knows how to advocate for herself, she can have situational awareness for things, social intelligence for things, and just be able to navigate her life in an intelligent manner, in a socially and emotionally and intellectually intelligent and mentally intelligent manner.
Right.
So that's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So to tie in the beginning of the conversation and this, to me, sales, connecting, and networking is all about relationships and trust.
Yeah.
I got to believe you're going to be teaching that to your daughter. Relationships
100%.
and trust. Right.
Yeah. I'm sure she'll deflect and bring home somebody I completely disapprove of and just to mess with me and like,
Right.
Oh yeah, 100%, dude. So we all go through that phase. It's okay. I just want to listen. I can control what she does. So the only thing I can do is make sure I arm her well enough to make good decisions for herself.
Right.
And healthy decisions for herself and teach her to love herself. Because I've seen the opposite happen when people don't and then they start making like really poor decisions. Actually, I had a coach I had a long time ago said this to me, and like he was a good mentor, and he pointed this out to me. Every time my wife and I would have like an intimate moment, like just words, I would always make a sarcastic comment. And she had been mad at me for doing something like that, and she pointed it out. And I said, "No, this is bullshit." And then he and I were talking. And he said, "Oh, she's right." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "That's your self-concept." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're trying to bring the moment down to a level you think you deserve," which is like, so I'm taking away from. I won't let it be as it is. I'm trying to like knock it down a peg or two. So it's like, so it's meeting me there, and then. That had a profound effect on me. I was like, okay, that's like he's probably right about that, and it makes a lot of sense.
So, were you think deep down afraid of intimacy and
sure.
connection? Right. No, I love that
commitment. Oh, yeah.
Right.
I'm very forthright about this.
Yeah.
I had a meeting one time. Great guy. He's like, I think he's probably like 55, 56. I'm 40, he's about 10 years older than I am. And my therapist used to be in Birmingham, so I used to stack meetings at Commonwealth around there before I go to my therapist. Right. And we were having a meeting about just normal stuff, and he's like, "We have to go. I have to go to therapy now." He goes, "I can't believe you just said that." I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, like you're just so open about it. I'm like, "Open about going to therapy?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." Like, but it's so maybe also I guess I'm Jewish. I don't know. We all have therapists, like trading card stuff. So it's part of it. But like, but it dawned on me like people, not everybody, like people in certain generations, and in my generation too. I'm not saying this, but people are very timid about that. They're very
for sure.
Yeah, it was very, very much so.
My dad's generation, I mean...
He was a war, though.
Right, exactly. No, I mean, and I, early on, I love connecting, hugging. So I think I was one of the first people in EO, the entrepreneur organization, where I would hug another guy. And people were... And so now it's very common. This is 30 years ago.
The first way you pioneered that?
I mean, at least I feel like a lot of people didn't before. I'm not trying to take credit for it. But when I would go to hug my dad, it'd be like, "Oh, we're doing this now." I mean, it was so foreign.
You okay? It's like you feeling all right?
Right.
Oh, I think I kissed my Chinese uncle on the cheek. I think he was freaked out. He's like, I think he's like, okay, Brian. Like they don't do that. So the old Asians don't do kind of stuff. Man.
Right.
So it's a generational thing. Man. They're not open with their feelings like that.
Yeah.
But I don't care. Nothing to hide about it. What's the point? It was who was I talking to? Somebody, I won't say who it was. It was somebody from EO, and we were talking about EO, and he's like, "Yo, your forum, we're really close. There's just things in there you can share with people you can't share with your golf buddies. I don't golf." He's like, I'm like, "Oh yeah, like what?" He's like, just your feelings, your thoughts. I'm like, I have a therapist for that, dude. I don't know. Okay, but listen, that's cool if that's your outlet. I'm not, but but it's like, it almost like he was describing something that was so like foreign to his like base culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like his personal family culture, whatever it was. So it's like so I found that very interesting. And I think everyone should have there. Mental health is not a joke, man. Like in fact, you're seeing it right now. Like there's so much like framework in terms of like aggressor and like victim and like people aren't okay.
Right.
There's a lot of people who are not okay right now. Man.
Well, especially right now, right?
Dude,
There's so much going on.
It's
right?
such a galvanizing time politically and like emotionally, and like social media makes people sick. It's like mean, it's not the devil or anything, but like people, it's just not being managed properly. Like it's like, think about like, was it the serotonin or the dopamine hits that you get from like likes or like social media management? Like,
right.
What's interesting, to me anyway, is so my wife and I are not on Facebook. We got Facebook like 6 years ago, right. Before COVID actually. And it occurred to me, whenever I see family members, they ask how my daughter's doing. Like, well, you never come by, you'll see her, because we don't post any pictures about her. Huh. And like all our family, like our friends, like they're all, if you think about it, all their kids are being raised on, they have these online profiles and they're being raised by people who can get to see them. And we don't regard that information from people. Right. Even when I send pictures to my aunts and my mom, like, hey, don't put this on Facebook. They're they put it on. And, but I kind of like that though. Not to have her.
Interesting.
I'm not being critical. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I get it. So as a parent of a younger child, my experience share for what we did, I think fairly well, is we trusted them. Neither of them were on social media. And it wasn't even us saying you couldn't, because my daughter would see the events that she wasn't invited to. And it was just devastating.
Yeah, dude,
right?
100%, man.
And so she just didn't want to do it. And my son, if she'd hit a little of Instagram or whatever, they would communicate. But so that was huge. And then we joke with our kids that we thank them for being so trustworthy. And they turn around and say, thank you for trusting. And we're like, which came first? But and again, we aren't going to control them, but we were very open and honest. And my daughter saying in 7th grade, I don't believe in God. We're like, awesome. Let's talk about it. Because I mean, this is you in your life. Yeah. And we just have always had open conversations. And yeah, that to me.
See, that's awesome, man. That's what I want. I want that kind of like open discourse about stuff. That's right. That's great, man. I want that for my daughter, which actually I have with my parents. My parents, we have a very dysfunctional relationship in a lot of ways. They're great. Like community, like service, great. They used to make us go shovel the driveways when people didn't have children. Right. Like they're good, but it's other dysfunctional things I won't get into. But like one of the things they were actually cool about when I go, they're better when I get older, to some extent. He's like, I'm going to a party, I might smoke weed, but it's like, well, don't drive. Like it wasn't like a judgment. It wasn't like a, make sure you're being safe. Don't drive. You have some drinks. Like it wasn't like a. And I have other friends whose parents like they guard everything. They flip out. Like, what are you doing? Like this.
Yeah,
bad.
We're not going to control them.
Yeah, they control. But yeah, that's cool. You're able to have those conversations with your kids like that, dude. It's kind of the place to get to. But yeah, I want her on there. Like if I can, dude, you're describing like not being invited to the party. Like, dude, the bullying is like beyond what it used to. Like when you were younger, I grew up in the '90s, like, midnight. But like, you get into a fight, you get beat up. People start rumors or whatever, and like maybe there's some tension that way, and like it's unheard of. But you have to confront. The thing is, the difference is you have to confront people. Right. Now you don't have to confront anybody because everything's like they ghost you and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, right. I mean, I'm not saying people couldn't ghost you then either or whatever, but you had, I mean, eventually it was going to come to a head and you were going to have to like talk about it, right. Or get in a fist fight or something about it. But now they just like, you have parents catfishing other kids on behalf of their kids. It's really messed up, man. Yeah. Like,
and the parents are way too involved socially.
Oh my God.
Social media.
Big time. Right. And they're projecting all their crap, just big time, man. Like I won't get into like I don't want to, rock the apple cart politically, but like there's a parent, somebody having it with my buddy's, he's in California, but there's a mom in one of the groups who posts online, like the kids basically like not inventing their kid having stuff, but basically associate something to post about. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, about getting into it, but it's like, that's not what's happening. Like, but she's like, oh, and here's how we were troubled and we're going through this right now, but you're really not though. Like it's not, but people want the attention. It's attention economy. Right. Trying to get likes but it's messing people. It's a really good book. The Coddling of the American Mind. Great book, man. But it talks about how the effects of social media on like on our outlook and things, right, and emotional health too. So sorry, go ahead.
That's a lot of chatter. Mm-hmm. So before we wrap, do you have any either questions for me or other things that you would want to share that either you've learned or insights you have about being a visionary?
You want to get out of here fast?
No, not at all. I'm just asking because we might talk another hour or another 2 minutes, and either way is fine.
We could probably chase a lot of cars, man. So, first thing is this would be offline, but something for you to think about. Who are you looking to have on the show? Right. That you want to talk to and who would stimulate you enough to have a conversation. So think about that. Yep. And make sure you ask me that. And look at your whiteboard. You forgot to email me about the whiteboard.
No, thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
And I forgot to do it, but I said, remember, that's why I said email me.
Yes.
I forget. It's okay. I'm not trying to call you out.
No, I'm fine with that.
Anything else to know? I mean, to be honest with you, man, one of the things when I was in California, it gave me more, is I was not grounded because I didn't have my values, my focus, my goals I think about, and then I want to be like one of these self-help, you can have your goals, but like you really have to think about like what it is you want to achieve. It can be simple. It doesn't be anything crazy. You can be like, hey, listen, I want to learn French, right. Whatever. But think about, because you talk about being intentional, right? We talk about intentional thinking, but that's kind of the point is like, especially when, you use the word visionary, I'll just say ADHD animals. But like, for myself, trying to find a way to, the alignment thing, of course, but, who am I trying to be? Who do I want to be? Like, how am I going to get that done? Right. And like, thinking about why I want those things. You ask a question, why are you out here? Why do you want to do these things? Like keep those at the forefront. On the other hand, though, on the opposite of that, I had a therapist tell me one time, it was, what did he say to me? He says, I analyze the joy out of everything. So I'm trying to stop thinking about stuff and feel more. And he was 100% right. And it was, what else did he say to me? He said, stop trying to make things happen all the time. You can just let things happen sometimes. That was flowing. Like, that was a big thing. That's probably the biggest thing. Is keep your structure, your center, but let things flow. Don't turn into rigidity, I guess I'm saying.
And I love that line because a lot of things that I've visioned and hoped for has happened. It just took often 5, 10, 20 times as long as I thought.
The struggle is real, man.
Timing is, I'm not in control of time.
And it's like this. I've had fat years and lean years. And I'm still like right now, I had to rebuild last year. So this is like I had to basically restart my company last year. But here's the thing though, I ain't gonna work for anyone else. Right. Like, and I wouldn't do it anyway. I had an old customer call me as their Comcast line. I used to sell telecom, and I almost had a panic attack. How do I deal with that? Like, best of luck to you, bud.
Right.
But that's fine. All joking aside, like, I'm trying to, I have to remember like comparisons to thief of joy, but also everyone's journey is different, man. Like, and I talked to this guy yesterday. This actually made me feel better, but what did he say to me? He's like, he said an exit, like a 7-figure exit, I think, maybe 8-figure exit, but and he goes, oh, dude, he's like, I thought I was going to have to sleep in my car one year. He said I had to liquidate all my retirement one year, and like my wife was freaking out, and he had to go. Just a bunch of like just every possible thing he had to like struggle and give me. I just kept it. He goes, so whatever you do, man, just keep at it. He had a massive exit. I was like, okay.
And where do we learn more, from the successes or the failures?
Failures,
right?
The valleys, not the peaks.
Yeah.
Is that a good way to say it?
I don't remember the exact thing, but it's very true.
There's and then just sorry, last thing I'll say.
Yeah, no, please.
Sarah Blakely, the CEO of Spanx.
Yep.
I read this great article about her one time where she said that she, at dinner time, I believe it was her, she would read at dinner time. At dinner time, her father would always ask her, what did you fail at today?
Right.
So I asked my daughter this in front of my mother-in-law. She's like, why would you ask her that? I'm like, but I want her to think that way. Like, what did I do today that could have been better?
Right.
And
what can I learn from?
Yeah, without beating yourself up, obviously.
Right.
But like, like what how could I be a better version of what I did today? And I do that sometimes with the past. My wife, I'm not living in the past. I'm picking things apart that happened last year, so I can be like, I don't want to repeat that, and like what I need to learn from that, and what do I need to learn to avoid that too.
Right.
So,
well, what I've learned in that, what I think you're saying, is to imagine this future and what does it feel like. So it's like, oh, I've affected Brian, and I've helped these people, and it makes me feel good, and I've served people. So now I'm not worried about the future. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Then improve on the past. Don't beat myself up, but letting go, David Hawkins, the book. So to acknowledge the emotion, to accept it, and then to and to let it go, and to then elevate to the next level.
100%.
And I grew up where I shoved down emotions. So then I'm imagining and improving, and that helps me to impact this moment much more right now. Because I find often I'm worried about the future and regretting the past, and then I'm not even talking to you. It's so that's how I've been dealing with it. And then to answer your question, I don't know if you were asking me for an answer, but I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'll get an answer. Yeah.
Right. I'm looking for visionaries. Entrepreneurs who have courage, who have succeeded, have again the valleys, learning from it, vulnerable, open. Interesting. And you're one of those. And so even when we first started talking, I'm like, yeah, I want you on my podcast. Again, we may or may not change anyone's world, but I'm learning. And then we're also recording this. And hopefully there's some and hopefully there's a few reels and nuggets that people will get. And then the main thing is building relationship.
Yeah.
So, I've got to know you more. and
pleasure, Bob.
Yeah, well, thanks. And it's just, and again, it's networking, because again, it's not usually that, Brian's going to hire me, but you probably know someone who might. And you may not solve my issue, but you probably know someone who maybe can. And that's what it's all about.
There's can I leave this one?
Yeah, please.
So I was at Sundance a couple years ago. The first time we had a film in when we helped finance. And love Brooklyn. It's a great movie. Andre Holland. If you get a chance to watch it, it's great.
Huh.
But I called Feidner because I forget what happened. This is guy Nick who's here. There's a guy a colleague of ours here who went to Arizona. He had to rebuild. Basically, I'm really impressed with him. Actually, he basically recreated value of who he was. He went through some stuff. Went to Phoenix, got backed by this huge billionaire, and they started this aerospace company. And Feidner was working with him. And this other guy, Henry, I think Henry I call actually, I met Henry during COVID on LinkedIn. I introduced him to Dave, and Dave put him in touch with Nick because he does recruitment in the manufacturing space. And they were all hanging out in Phoenix or whatever. And I was talking to Dave, oh, that's cool. I'm in Sundance. And Dave's like, oh yeah, I was with Nick and Henry and blah blah blah. I'm like, all I could think was did you guys all meet because of me? He goes, yeah. And I go,
that's awesome.
But here's the thing. I had a movie that made me feel. I was like, that was probably the best thing about my week. I had a movie in Sundance. The best thing about my weekend was knowing that I could make a connection like that, make an introduction, and they're all impacting each other in a constructive manner.
Right.
That was really cool.
And that kind of sums it up.
I love it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. I'm glad we've gotten to know each other.
Oh, yeah.
And this podcast thing has been great for me because I have a lot of great conversations, and then I'm like, what did we talk about? Well, now it's recorded, right? We're sharing our wisdom. So awesome. All right. Well, I appreciate you. I have one last question.
Sure.
The name of this podcast is Viva La Visionary.
Okay.
And what does that mean to you when you hear Viva La Visionary?
Viva La Visionary. I want to translate to long live something.
Sure.
Right. Well, I don't know. Viva La Visionary. Long live the people with a vision.
Right. Awesome. Good. Well, Viva La Visionary.
Viva La Visionary.
All right. Thank you.
I like
All
that.
right. Peace.